Alright, so shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start off by saying Barakathon, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Vakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole fleet elect, starting with the 144,000, shalom. Alright, so let's turn this off so we don't interrupt. Alright, so title of this lesson, through the Spirit, I was through the Spirit hit me earlier, really when I woke up this morning, I wasn't going to go into Romans chapter 7. For what I would do, for what I would do, I don't, and what I don't want to do, I do. Really paraphrasing what Paul's talking about, with sin being sold in us. Us being sold under sin, we've been in these carnal bodies. And as I was watching, on his page, GMS Awakening, one of the brothers had sent us some lessons that he watched it. He sent it to us, a powerful lesson. It was titled, the elect the elect are going through the greatest humiliation ritual, right, of all time, right, and understanding that, seeing it spiritually, that how Hollywood and whatnot, before those people get their fame, they look good, their money and whatnot, they go through that humiliation ritual, right, and seeing it spiritually, that's what we doing in this truth, right? We're seen as the low, we're seen as the despised ones, we're seen as the weak, we've been humiliated. Same thing did to Yahweh Shah, right? He was humiliated, they was, see him as evil, they made him an evildoer, they did all these things, they persecuted, they hated him, right? And, he did all the things and received the honor from the Father, right? And that's what we're doing now, right? Because the servant's not greater than his Lord, right? We're going through those things now, right? We're going through the suffering, the pain, looking crazy, right? You can't look at these people and tell them that Esau's going to be our slave. They looking at you crazy, because they ain't got the spiritual things to understand it. People don't have the spiritual things to understand reincarnation. So we're going through that humiliation ritual down here today, right now, every day, right? As we down here in this darkness, in the dark kingdom, right? But the point I want to go out, right? The Lord willing, the Spirit will lead us, or tomorrow we'll just go into it as well, right? But as I was watching the video, it hit me in the spirit, right? I got a few precepts right here. Lord, we're gonna flow through the spirit as well. But as even going into that, the elect facing that, going through that humiliation ritual, right? It just hit me in the spirit that with this caption, right, I'm gonna read what the title, right? I'm gonna read. It says you have to come into this ministry unleavened, right? And let's go to a definition. It's like, let's do a definition, because I wasn't even going. Let's see. Right. A bread without yeast or other leavening agent. Right. Let's see. Right. I explained the synonym. I said unleavened bread is simple flour mixed with water. Synonyms unraised, because the leaven, it makes the bread thick. It bolsters the bread up, right? It bolsters the bread up, right? It makes it thicker. It makes it raised up, right? So with that being said, right? If you understand it spiritually, right? That's why. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, right? And excuse me, I got stuffy nose, so it's like people, sniffing a lot. 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 7, right? It says, "Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Mashiach, Yahushua, our Passover, for even Mashiach, Yahushua, our Passover sacrifice for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast," right? Because the Passover, it was 7 days, with unleavened bread, right? And, seeing it spiritually, that unleavened is basically, the pride, right? Because once again, that leaven, it raised the bread up. It bolsters the bread up, right? It ain't flat bread. It bolsters it up, makes it thick. And that leaven and sin and spiritually is that pride, right? That arrogance, right? That boastfulness, right? It says, therefore, let us keep the feast not with the old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth, right? I got some notes right here, right? So it says, leaven is the extra shit, right? That pride, boastfulness, wanting fame and other things, right? It says, unleavened is not fancy, it's simple, 100% truth without the gimmicks. Old leaven is that pride and old ways of the world. You gotta get rid of them. Feast is like this, being in this knowledge, right? Being in this truth, right? Being fed this knowledge, right? That's why I said both unleavened bread of sincerity and truth, right? Because real fast, the spirit of Yahweh Shah, John 16:13, right? Says, howbeit, when he the spirit, the Kakadash, right? The Holy Spirit, he the spirit of truth is come, right? The Kakadash, the Holy Spirit, that comforter that Yahweh Shah told you going to pray to the Father for them to leave us, right? Because Yahweh Shah came and showed us the way. He came and showed us how to put that pride to the side, being obedient to the cross. That's why he said, if any man follow me, you got to take up his cross, right? You got to take up your own way. You got to be humble. You got to come to the truth unleavened. You can't come to the truth with no pride and boastfulness, thinking you big and bad, thinking you more than what you is. Right? The scripture said, man, thinking something to be something, he is nothing. Because Yahweh Shah faced these things, Yahweh Shah could easily went popular, could have easily destroyed them people, right? It's the son of Yahweh, man. Right? He can't have powers, he can't have healing people. He could have easily got on these people's tail quickly, right? But what did he do, right? He clothed himself with humility, right? He made himself humble, obedient to the cross. He knew his will, he knew his lot. He knew the will that Yahweh Shah set for him to do. So therefore, he did it. That's why he's the author and finisher of our faith. So what do you think we're doing, right? We're marking our path after Yahweh Shah, doing the will, do the works, being humble, right? A person not that leaven, person not that pride, that boastfulness, wanting fame, bear with me real fast. What is that? I think I put the precept in my notes right here. Bear with me. 42. Is this the precept I want? What? This is one I want. I want another one. I think I want to say it's in John, or it might be in Luke. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Let's see. Oh, it might be in, is it Matthews? I gotta be John. Bear with me. Slacking for this order. I want to find something real fast. Let's try to find it one more time. I'm about to Isaiah real fast. But the point being is, when I was talking about that fame, right, we read Isaiah 42:2, right, because it's going into, talking about Yahweh Shah, right, him being that light, him being that, him bringing the light into the Gentiles. Gentiles are who? The Israelites in the foreign state of mind, right? And we know at one point, we all let Gentiles state of mind, but Yahweh Shah brought us that light, that understanding, right? So he said, he shall not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the streets, And what is that going into? Right? That's going into how, he didn't want no fame. He wasn't out here trying to build fame, honor, or, fame or honor amongst men. He wasn't out trying to be cool and boastful, be prideful amongst men. Right? He knew what he had to do. Right? So he wasn't trying to build. He wasn't trying to build no he wasn't trying to build no clout within this world. He came to the will of the will of Yahweh, and that was it. He wasn't trying to. He didn't come with the leaven. He came unleavened, right? Let's see. Let's see that I put. I'm trying to see that I put the precept. Wait, let me see if we can bring it up real fast. Yeah, Matthew 12. Lord, how about Right, so it's Matthew 12, and I started verse 15. Said, but when Yahushua knew it, he withdrew himself from thence, and great multitudes followed him. And he healed them all. Right, so he's doing the miracles, he's doing the works. Right, they wanted to destroy him. Right, as he doing these things. Right, they wanted to get at him. Right, he facing those things. Right, as I was talking about earlier, going through that humiliation ritual. Right, they persecuted Yahushua. They came on him bad. They did horrible things to Yahushua. Right, they humiliated him, put him on the cross, laughing at him. Right, as the scripture says, he came into his own receives him not. You read the precept, they talking about how ain't this the son of Joseph? Don't we know his parents? Don't we know his sisters? Right, it says and charged them that they should not make him known. Right, that he didn't want to be known. He ain't trying to be no fame. Right, he didn't want no reputation. Right, it says it might be fulfilled was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, which we read. Right, Isaiah 42. Right, says, behold my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased. I'll put my spirit upon him. I was talking about Yahushua, right? He put his spirit upon Yahushua, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles. The Gentiles are the Israelites in that foreign state of mind, caught up in the ways of the other nations. But Yahushua came to show the light. He really came for the elect. He came to show the elect that light, that understanding, right? He says, he shall not strive nor cry, neither shall any man hear his voice in the streets, right? That's Isaiah 42 and 3. He ain't trying to be no reputation. He ain't trying to be no fame. He ain't trying to look cool. He ain't doing it. He coming unleavened. He putting that pride, that boastfulness to the side. He putting the pride of his world to the side. Because even the precept that I just had, that I didn't read, but I read it real fast because it just came to me, right? John 17 and 14 says, I have given them thy word. It was that elect, right? They received the word from Yahushua, right? It was in the Gentile state of mind, but he brought us that light. That light is this word, this truth, this understanding. And the world hated them because they are not of this world, even as I am not of this world. That's why we're going through the humiliation ritual right now. We're facing these things because we're not of this world. In due time, we're going to receive our honor and glory from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. As well, Hollywood running around, they receive the fame, the glory from this world, things that such the money. We're going to receive all that from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. That's why our conversations in heaven, we focus on the things above. We don't care about this place down here. That's why we endure the suffering, we endure the pains, we endure the hardships, right? So, going back to 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 7 again, says, purge out there for the old leaven. You got to purge it out. You got to purge out that pride because you got to put on a new man. You got to come into this truth for new man. You can't come into this truth with that worldly mindset, with that worldly pride, with that carnal mindset, like a better words, right? It says that ye may be a new lump, right? As you are unleavened, for even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven. Right? You can't come to this ministry with that pride, that carnal mindset, the way of this world, how you was before, right? It says, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with unleavened bread of sincerity and truth, man. Right? I want to read this in the NLT. But you got to come with that unleavened, man, sincerity and truth, no gimmicks, no games, no pride. You got to come to the truth unleavened because you got to understand, you got to humble yourself, right? You got to put that pride to the side. You got to do these things, right? But the parable, I went into the precept, I went into the other day about the parable of went to the other day, Slack for notification, about the parable of the seeds that were planted. And one of the seeds that was planted, it wasn't rooted up. It wasn't rooted all the way, right? So when the seed ain't rooted all the way, when something happened, it was easily torn up, taken away. You got to be all the way rooted in the truth, and being all the way rooted in this truth, you got to be humble, right? You got to be humble, right? You got to cast all your care upon Yahweh Shah, because you got to understand if a man thinks himself to be something, he is nothing, and you got to be humble enough to be able to accept the humiliation, accept the people looking at you crazy, accept the suffering, the pain, accept the losing family, friends, everything behind this truth, right? You know, as the scriptures tell you, he who's taken father, mother, brother, sister, really paraphrasing, right? I'll give it to him 100-fold. Right? We're going to go through these things now, but we're going to receive the honor and glory once Yahweh shall return and bring us to the kingdom. That's why the scriptures tell us, man, the suffering we face now, really paraphrasing, ain't compared to the glory that's in front of us, man. That's why you got to come to the truth with your pride to the side. You got to come unleavened, because you come with that leaven, you ain't going to be able to put that pride to the side. You ain't going to be able to put off that old man, because you going to feel like, you know how the nigga think. Oh, I can't let nobody play with me. Oh, no, nobody can't tell me. Just nobody can't tell me that. You know, Jake, we want to argue. That's why the elders tell you a lot, man. Hey, man, they don't get it. They don't get it. It's truth for the elect. It's truth for who put on the arm of Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Shah walked around that in Colossians 3:15. He walked around with that peace, that inner peace, because he knew what was up. At the end of the day, the will of Yahweh Shah is going to be fulfilled. Either he get it or he don't. Hey, you going to have some that scoff him out. People scoff him out Yahweh Shah. They killed him, persecuted him, harmed him. All these things. Once again, the servant's not greater than his master. The servant's not greater than his Lord. So we're gonna face these things as well. But if you can't be able to accept these things, then you got this ministry ain't for you. Because this ain't no walk in the park. This ain't no way you just come to church every Sunday. This work you got to do day in, day out. We ambassadors for this truth, right? We those daily sacrifices, right? Going through these things every day, right? But this is 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 7, 8 in the NLT. It says, get rid of the old yeast by removing the wicked person from among you. The NLT talking, right? That's the spirit. You can leave one day precept in Ephesians. It says, get rid of the old yeast, that pride, all that, by removing the wicked person from among you. Then you will be like a fresh batch of dough made without yeast, which is what you are, which is what you really are. Hamashiach, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed for us, right? Because we're not judged by the law, we're judged by that faith and grace. Right? We made perfect through our sufferings, facing the things, going through these things, being able to humble ourselves under Yahweh Shah. Would you see how the whole world walk around that pride, that boastfulness, that wanting fame in this world? So we put all that to the side, do the will of Yahweh Shah. Once again, go to the lesson that the elder brother did. His page is GMS Awakening, right? But hey, we going through that humiliation ritual. We ain't trying to get this money, fame, or this world. We trying to be seen honored. We trying to be honored and glorified in the sight of Yahweh Shah, man. So we're gonna go through these things. They're gonna look at us crazy. They're gonna look at us stupid. They're gonna say we doing evil work. They're gonna say all these things. The same thing they did to Yahweh Shah. But guess what? Guess what Yahweh Shah? Sitting next to the Father. Which he said, what he also said, in the regeneration, they shall sit on the throne with me, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And that's what we working for. We're not working for no fame, honor, and glory in this world. We're working to be part of that hopeful elect. Studying, doing his work. We already been blessed with the gift of faith to be able to understand his knowledge and his truth. Right? So now we striving, doing to make our calling and election sure, man. Right? It says in verse 8, so let us celebrate the festival, not with old bread of wickedness and evil, but with new bread of sincerity and truth. So we put off that old man and come to the truth with sincerity and truth, man. Right? So let's go to Ephesians 4. Let's go to Ephesians 4 and verse 21, right? It says, if so be that you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahweh Shah, that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to deceitful lust, man. It's corrupt. So you got to put it off, right? And that's what like I say earlier, when I woke up, the spirit was on me, and it had me think about Romans 7. The things that I would do, I don't do. The things I don't want to do, I do. Right? That's why you got to put off that lust. You got to put off that pride, right? That outward man, that flesh is gonna want these things. It's gonna want the fame. It's gonna want the pride. It's gonna want to be bold. It's gonna want to seem like the smartest. It's gonna want to seem like noble, right? But when you humble yourself under the spirit by Yahweh Shah, you understand all that means nothing down here, right? We want to be honored and glorified in the sight of Yahweh Shah. It says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. You got to be renewed in the spirit. Because once you walk in the spirit, how about you outside? You're going to humble yourself. You're going to understand. And all that begins with the fear. You know? If you don't fear, how about you outside? Hey, you automatically grow. Right? Because the beginning of knowledge and wisdom is fear. Because when you fear him, you understand his power, you understand his word, you understand he control all this. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you feel, Yahweh outside has everything already ordained. Those ones who rich off doing that, the ones who rich off doing it, Yahweh outside put them in their lot. Everybody enjoy with his own lust. So they want to live accordingly, they can. But we were not redeemed by corruptible things. Right? We're redeemed by the faith and grace of Yahweh Shah. But only the elect go understand that. Right? It says, and that you put on the new man, which after Yahweh is created in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man with truth to his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, man. So you got to put off that old man. You got to put off that old way. You got to put off that form conversation of the old man. You got to put off that pride of life. You got to put off that way of the world. Because we read, we're not of this world as Yahweh Shah is not of this world. So we're going to face these things. We're going to go through these things. So when you come to the ministry, you can't come to the ministry with pride. You can't come to this ministry with love. You can't come to this ministry with boastfulness. You can't come to this ministry trying to build a way in the world of life, right? Because this is not for that. Let me tell you that now. This is not for that. If you think you finna come live holly jolly just because this ain't for that. You finna go through suffering. You finna go through pain. You finna go through hardship. Matter of fact, I got it in my notes, but I say this is spirit. Lead me right where, lead me right to the, points, man. Right, but this is the book of Sirach 2, verse 1 says, my son, if thou come serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. Cleave unto him, depart not away, that thou may be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou turn to the Lord's state. You got to be humble. You got to have faith. You got to be humble, understanding how about Shah is going to bring us through it. So you can't come in the ministry with that leaven on you, man. You can't come in the ministry with that pride. I can do bad out by myself. Because you can't. That's the reason why that's the reason why you in this position now. Because you think you big and boastful bad. How about Shah done shows you every time. Right? You got to close yourself in humility, man. You got to be humble. Right? Come with that pride. Come with that all that, man. This ain't that, man. You can't come to the ministry with that mindset. Because, hey, it's better for you to understand it and humble yourself for you. How about you outside humble you? It's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power, man. You see the guy, I want to say Alazar, it's like I'm saying it wrong. We don't want to quote it because I don't want to say it wrong. Not as if like I'm trying to, better him, but I don't want to say the wrong name, right? Throwing another person on the bus. But the characteristics of the person I'm going to explain with it could pinpoint who that is. The guy who got exposed, for doing things that men don't do. That Yahweh Shah set men out to do, right? And he was exposed. He had the pride, going on these interviews, doing all these things. And guess what? Yahweh Shah, humbled him, right? He humbled him. So you can't come to his truth with all that pride, right? You gotta humble yourself under Yahweh Shah, and he will exalt you in due time. The Lord willing. That's what we're in with right here, right? 1 Peter 5, let's start at verse 5. Right, it says, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yet all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For Yahweh resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Right? Come 11. Right? It says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahweh Shah. Right? That he may exalt you in due time. So when it's time for you to be exalted, Yahweh Shah will exalt you in due time. You got to understand the trial and tribulation we facing. This is building us up in the faith, in the spirit, in the faith. Because our weapons are not carnal. We not the physical part. I was watching a lesson a few months ago. The elder Apostle Rumline, he had another elder with him. And I remember they were saying, he was going to understanding that Yahweh Shah is going to handle the physical part. We got to prepare ourselves spiritually, mentally. Because these things are going to come. It's going to be a test, man. So each and every day we face this battle, but each and every day also understanding that Yahweh Shah gives us he supplies us with the spirit to overcome these things. So as we design that sense of milk, we grow each and every day, right? We got to put that pride off, and we got to be able to do these things. We got to be able to take these things on the chin. Right? You come with that pride, think you more than what you is, and guess what? When the true test comes, you gonna fall on your knees, you gonna crumble. Right? You done seen it plenty of times, man. Pressure bust pipes. You gotta be ready to withstand. And the only way you gonna be able to withstand, you close yourself in the full armor of Yahweh Shah. I remember this is about good. This is around the beginning of the year with Elder Apostle Gabar did a lesson, several characteristics of, basically, Lord that hopefully elect. And one of them was humility, right? One of them, you got to be humble, man, right? So, let's see if I had anything else in mind, right? And that was really kind of it, kind of prove that point, man. You got to come with this truth unleavened. You can't come to this truth with the leaven, or you can't come to the truth with that pride, right? So, Lord willing, it lets us edify and exalted. Right, and I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, and Kakadai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the hopefully elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.